Hey everyone, Josh here with Fresh Start Customs. Welcome to episode 3. We're going to be showing you guys how to create your own designs today. It's going to be a quick, simple keychain design. I'm going to go kind of quickly here. If you need a more advanced tutorial on this, I've got plenty of them that you can check out. I'm just trying to keep this video as short and sweet to the point as possible, so pause where you need to. With all that out of the way, I am using Adobe Illustrator today. You can use Inkscape, which is a free program, but the features may be different on that, so you'll have to work around that. But today we're going to be covering the selection tool, the text tool, and the shapes tool to create your keychain. So first up, we're going to select a rectangle tool here. Click, hold, and drag out the shape you want your keychain to be. We'll just say that's good. And then make sure you have an outside stroke color selected. I have red. Those are my cut lines. I always use red for my cut lines. You can use whatever color you want. Glowforge sees each color as an individual path or option to engrave, score, or cut. And then when you have the rectangle selected still, you'll see these inside little points here. You can pull those in and round off the edges so you don't have sharp edges on your keychain. We're going to go back to the shapes tool here, select the ellipse tool, and then you'll just click where you want your circle to be. You'll type in the measurements you want your circle to be. I want it to be the 0.2 inches by 0.2 inches. I'm going to click OK. And as you can see, there is now a circle within the keychain. And if I move the keychain itself, the circle stays there. So I'm going to put that back to right where I want it. We're going to call right there good. That way the actual keychain can crimp into this and it'll be good to go. So to prevent that from doing that, if I move this and then the circle staying there, you can highlight both. You can hit Control-G to group the file. And as you can see now, if I move just one of them, they'll both move together because they're grouped. Another thing that you can do is you can knock out the circle so it's all part of the same piece here using the Pathfinder tool by clicking -front. If you don't have Pathfinder, you can click on Window, go down to Pathfinder, and it'll pop up. But I like to just group it. That way if I have to ungroup it or edit it, it's a lot easier than removing the compound path. And I've got an entire video explaining what those terms mean here as well, if you want to check that out. But with all that out of the way, we now have the outside shape of our keychain already. It's super quick and easy to make these keychains. All we got to do now is add text. So we're going to click our text tool. I'm just going to type out the letters FSC for Fresh Start Customs. And as you can see, we now have our text typed out, but it's still in a text format. What I mean by that is if you double click on this, you can erase it and then add the letter back. Super easy because it's all a text file still. Your laser can't detect text properly. It needs to be in a vector format. So we have to create this into a vector format, which is super easy to do. All you got to do is go up to Type, click on Create Outlines, and then you have officially created this as a vector format now. So your laser can now detect and engrave this properly. If you have a cursive writing, you will want to unite these together by clicking the Unite button up in Pathfinder. Once again, if you don't have Pathfinder up here, click on Window and then Pathfinder, it'll pop up. The reason why you want to unite that is if you have overlapping text, the laser won't know what to do and it'll mess up the engraving. It won't engrave properly. I do have a more advanced video on that as well with overlapping text and cursive text too. So check that out too if you need a more in-depth tutorial of that. This is just a quick tutorial to get you guys up and running. So let's say right there looks good. You can then group this again if you want to with Control-G and then it'll all move together. Another thing that you can do is instead of engraving back and forth this entire design, if you want just the outside engraved, you can get rid of the inside fill and then add an outside stroke in a different color. I always do score lines in blue color. A score line is basically an engraving, but taking the path or the route of a cut So the outside here is red. That's going to cut all the way around and cut out your design. The inside is blue, and that's a score. So it's going to engrave this inside score line here, which is the same kind of path that it takes for cuts, but it's actually just a lighter engraving there. But most people would want this to be a full engraving, so we're going to add a fill back and get rid of that stroke. And there you go. All you need to do now is save this file wherever you want to save it at. I would go to File, Save As, and then you'll choose where you want to save it to. I'm going to just save it here. You can save it as an Illustrator file if you want to be able to edit it, or you can save it as like an SVG file, which is what a lot of people use. Another thing that you can do is save it as a PDF file. I would probably save both an SVG and a PDF file because scaling issues can happen between multiple programs. So you'll definitely want a PDF file because that helps lock in the settings between Adobe Illustrator and Inkscape, for example, because they use different settings by default. But if you're going to save as an SVG file in Adobe Illustrator, I'm going to just put test here. I'm going to show you what format you can save this as. So when you go to save as an SVG in Adobe Illustrator, you'll want to save it with these preset settings here. Make sure all of these boxes are unchecked, especially responsive, because that can cause issues with scaling on import to different programs as well. I always set my decimal places to 3. I've used this for years and it's always worked for me. And then all of these settings here. So just copy these settings. Works perfect every time for me. I'm going to just hit cancel. I don't need to save this. But that's pretty much it. I hope this video helped you guys out today. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.